Okay. Live. I am now live. Wait for some people to come on. Ooh, let's see. All right. All right. How's everybody doing? Just want to make this live tonight, and I want to talk about the series Swirling Done Right once again. And I also want to talk about last night. Here before I get started. Well, yeah, before I get started. Hey Becca, how you doing? Carol, how you doing? I want to address something, okay, about last night. And if you're not here to hear it, you can catch the replay. Hey, Amy, how you doing? I want to address something. Last night, thought the show was going good. Thought it was a good show, but something happened where we got in an argument and things went south. We got off topic, and I've been emailed all day, and I have 14 emails of people telling me how I lost control of the show, and they're right. Can't argue with it. They are right. But and I also lost like 10 subscribers right off the bat. So that tells me I lost control. They didn't like it, and they're showing me they did not like it. And that shows me too that they're going to give up on me because I made a mistake, and that's fine. You know, I'll just say is bye. You know, and I like doing jump on lives, and I'm not so upset when we jump off topic, but when we jump off and go to triggered topics, I think that's what really did it, because people were upset. We got off subject, you know, and people, when it comes to racial issues and topics, emotions get stirred up, people get stirred up, and it got a little heated. Now, I probably should have just muted everybody till we all cooled down and come back, but I let them argue it out. I felt that maybe if they hash it out, it can be fixed, right? Okay, and I understand people have their passions, people have their emotions. I get it. But you know, we really do need to, for the most part, stay on top and try to be civil, try to be respectful with our disagreements. But you know, it just, you know, it is what it is. I mean, what can I say? I'm from here on out. If we drift off and I feel it's getting out of hand, I'm going back to the topic. And if we can't do it, then I'm just going to drop the person that don't want to comply with that. Because, I mean, I don't know. There's a mistake. Sorry, I made a mistake. You know, and, but you're welcome to come on tonight. And like I said, if it gets out of hand, I'm just going to have to squash it. But another thing I would say too is, if you do have a problem with me, email me, talk to me that way, because you see something that went wrong, and I admitted it on my video. I said, I lost control. I made a mistake. It was wrong. But people have to let me know about it, and then they have to unsubscribe, and that's cool. But anyway, you know, I didn't create this channel to get millions of subscribers. I did it because I want to link up with people that believe like I do, people that share the same life experiences, and people that share my values. That's the purpose of my channel. But you know, and like I said, this is new to me. I'm not a professional talk show host. I am not, you know, I'm pretty much doing this for free, and that's cool. I like doing it. I like connecting with each and every one of you. But you know, we really do need to stay on topic, because we're talking and it seems like no big deal. You know, we get a little passionate off subject, but when people see it, they see something else. I guess they see like a Jerry Springer type atmosphere. And And I know when it comes to interracial relationships, there's positive and negative, and I try not to harp on the negative, you know. Um, and when you're in an interracial relationship, you got issues like slavery, Jim Crow, reparations, all that stuff. Um, and how we went from dating interracial into that. I know it kind of goes along with it, but I think we went too far on that, and everybody saw it. So, and my subscriber count dropped, and that's cool. But from now on, just let's have respect. You come on the live, we're going to stay with the topic. Um, if you veer a little bit, that's fine, but I don't want to go off into something and get in a heated fight over it. That's kind of crazy. But anyway. Okay, enough of that. All right, now I gotta pick up the pieces over that disaster I had last night. And also I apologize for losing my audio. That's another thing I need to learn how to do. And it was a simple mistake, but you know, yeah, thanks. I don't know if they unsubscribed for that, but I think they did because it was a big drop. It was like 10 people at one time, and that usually don't happen. I mean, I'll gain some, lose a few here and there. That happens all the time, but it was a big drop, and I got a lot of emails, and people weren't happy with it, and they want to let me know how I screwed it up, and that's cool. But hey, it is what it is. All right, Becca's coming on. Hello, Becca.
Hey, how are
How's it
you?
going? I'm okay. I'm
I
a little kind of in the dumps, but I'm doing all right.
Me too. I feel so bad. I lost my temper last night. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry, Brent. It's probably my last time coming on stage. I feel so bad that I lost my temper. I didn't think it would have that effect. That's why I kind of left early last night too. I was just like, I'll just go cook. I apologize for it coming to that level. I can't speak for Patrice, but I can speak for me. It's just it. I'm used to us veering off. I'm very much used to
Yeah,
us.
yeah, and that's my fault because I allowed it to happen, and I don't think it would have been so bad. I think what it was the topic we went into because we went into reparations and who's what, and slavery, and we can talk about that stuff, but I think we need to have a show to talk about it so we're prepared what to say. It's kind of sometimes I kind of got blindsided, and then emotions got stirred up, and it's my fault. I should have just muted everybody, took control, and then brought us back on to where we cooled off. And I didn't do that, so that's my fault. No, you can come on. I'm not this. You're welcome anytime, and we all have our emotions, and I'm not faulting you guys. That was on me.
It
Um,
yeah.
I let it go there, and I shouldn't have.
It's. I
So
mean,
I mean,
I wanted to email you this about this situation, but I got busy with school. But I just thought like this is the same person that this is not her first time with really off the wall stuff that's
yeah,
happened. And I meant to say like maybe certain people on the stage vet them. I mean, there's certain people who are reoccurring favorites who you know who like Amy. You know, Amy she'll drag it off topic, but she's well meaning with it. You know what I mean? She's not veering it off into a tangent, and
no,
and it's not like and me and Patrice will go into different issues, but it will veer it back to a discussion. And when we bring off certain people from off stage, we don't really know these people off on YouTube, and
yeah,
these really incendiary topics. Um, I again I apologize for my involvement with it. It's just like It's just one of those things. Like, hey, I would just say, hey, maybe just vet certain people. If they seem like off, just throw them off stage. Um,
Yeah.
um, this is all a learning curve for everybody. Like you said, I'm in the film business, so I'm in the I'm a filmmaker and writer, so I'm used to these kind of people. That's why I didn't curse or anything, but yeah, um, I'm just feel real bad about your subscribers.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, I'll rebound. It's all good. It's a learning. You know what? It's a learning thing, and I'm not mad at you guys on the panel. It's my fault. I let it get out of control, and I should have taken control. It is what it is. I mean, um, it just, from here on out, I'm going to keep it more controlled, and I think I need to. And I think, when we go into trigger topics, where people get emotional, we need to kind of, stay away from that to where, that's the subject, because some we get it just got heated. It just and but I'm just frustrated because I keep getting emails, and I made that video today, and I wanted to just say, I lost control, and I can take criticism, but when I get like 14 emails, and then I mean, what can I say? But I mean, it's not your guys' fault at all. It was mine. And I should have said, hey, let's stay on topic, and just stopped it right there. That was my fault. But like you're saying, I let it drift, and I had a good time with it. And I don't think anything would have been bad if we would have just covered a little bit of it and moved on. But we kind of got hung up on it, and last night was a mess. I lost my audio, and it just didn't go right. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a learning situation. But, and I haven't done a bunch of jump on lives. It's just a recent thing. And I do like it. I still want to do it. So, it is what it is. But anyway, welcome Carol and Amy to the show.
Hello,
Good to see you.
everyone.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm gonna make sure speaking for myself because I can easily stay on topic when I'm focused and everything, which I usually do anyway. But sometimes I gear off too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make sure that I don't do all of that. And excuse me. Uh, I'm sorry about your subscriber drop too. It I hope they do come back. Like, I don't know if they're listening right now, but if they are, we're aware of the situation and everything, and so they could come back, and it won't happen again because we all adults here, and we could be civil just like we always are.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it was my fault, but I was just like, man, can you forgive me, or I make a mistake, you're out. But that's fine. I mean that's the YouTube thing. I mean, I've had people drop me because I said something that upset them, and I try to be as respectful and as I can. I mean, but I'm human. I'm going to say something wrong, sure, but yeah, I and I do owe everybody an apology because I let it happen, and and then I lost my audio, and it just was a bad night. I thought the show was good. Besides that, though, I think
Yeah,
we
I
had
thought
good
it was
topics.
good too. I
I
thought it
mean,
was good too.
yeah, I mean, but anyway, I just want to say that real quick, and let's talk about the topic at hand. I want to talk about Swirling done right, interracial relationships, and what I'm going to cover is love and respect. Like last night we talked about fighting for that person you're in the relationship with. Um, and what I meant by fighting is you stand up for what you believe, live your life right, be happy, and that's how you fight it. You ain't got to physically fight them, or you know, yell insults back and forth, but just living your life right is the biggest, you know, defense you have, the biggest weapon you have, really. And you know, because people that live in hate, it upsets them when they see other people happy, you know. And so, you know, we covered that. And the reason I'm going into this because I want to talk to people. There's a process when you're interracially dating or going to marriage, you get that far. There's a process you have to follow. Now, the process I'm doing with these videos and lives is I'm just giving, you know, steps, you might say. Now, it might not work for everyone, but that's kind of how you got to go about it. You have to have a plan. You have to, and when you do, you got to vet, you got to, you know, there's a whole process to where you get that full person. Then you got to fight for them. And then you got to have love and respect once you're into that relationship. When you get to these interracial issues, you know, things that might trigger people, things that people are emotional about. And you got to fight for your marriage or relationship within, you know, by using love and respect with the person you're with. And that's my point, because you know, if you don't have love and respect, you're not going to have forgiveness, and you're not going to be able to own up to any fault you have. So, and that's my thing for this video. Just love and respect, building within. You know, you got to fight without. You know, you can't let people get into your head, get into your relationship, your marriage, but within, you got to preserve it. You got to respect that person. And last night we talked about like some things you like to do. You step out that box. Whether you're black or white, there's things black people like to do and white people like to do. I mean, don't be afraid. And you know, and a lot of these trigger subjects we talk about, I'll tell you, with me and my wife, we hardly ever discuss racism and all that other stuff. We will, but it's more like a discussion. It's not like emotion and we're going to argue about it. And with my wife's family, we hardly ever talk about race. I mean, they know I'm a white guy, and they'll love me and respect me because, you know, I take care of my wife, and I've been married several years. So through the years, I've earned that respect. And my wife has with my family. My family loves my wife. So I don't really get a lot of those trigger things, but you know, people are different, and it's different where you live, different states, different countries. There's different, I mean, there's racism everywhere, but how people go about it's different. And I'm sure in the UK, it's a lot different than what we go through. I mean, I'm sure they got racism there too, but I mean, I don't know. I don't live there. I mean, I've been there, but I don't know, but I'm sure they got something. And, you know, but anyway, what do you guys think about that? I mean,
Well, based on what you just said, I think it's a very sensitive subject, and it definitely needs to be, you know, handled much more civilly, I would say. Um, but forgiveness is a very important tool to have, and you should not hold grudges against somebody. But the thing of it is, with mutual respect, this isn't just with interracial couples, but this is anybody, period. You got to meet the other person halfway. You know what I mean? You have to understand their point of view, or at least be willing to listen, and vice versa. You know what I mean? And if you can meet each other halfway, then and show effort into what you're doing, then you will definitely have a mutual respect. And it's the same as with when somebody walks up to a woman and wants to approach her. You know, if as soon as you approach a gentleman like, then that will show a sign of respect automatically, and that will get your foot in the door as soon as you start talking to him.
yeah, and that's a side too. They give you the respect when you first meet them. I mean, that's a good sign that when you get into that relationship or marriage, you know, you want someone that's going to respect you. Then, of course, then you're in a marriage. It's not something you can get out of, and it's something you have to have that respect and that love and understanding, and you got to have forgiveness because there's certain things that I've done wrong to my wife. I mean, you know, I've never cheated on her or nothing like that, but there's times I said the wrong thing, and I have to own up and apologize. But she forgives me, and we move on. And same with her. I mean, when you're in a marriage, and as many years as I have, there's going to be times we irritate each other. There's always times that we have to just step away, and that's just because human nature, because we all get irritated, we all get frustrated, we all have our bad days, good days and bad days. And when you're married, when your spouse has a bad day or good day, you know it. I know when my wife's not happy. She don't have to say nothing to me. Or, when she's upset or when she's happy. I know because, I've, been married to my wife over 27 years. So, you just know these things. But, and that's my thing, because a marriage is like I said, it's a constant fight. I mean, you're fighting to keep people out of your marriage, trying to destroy it. You're fighting to do the right thing. You're fighting to lift up the person you're with. To me, I look at it as a fight. Now, because you're putting in the work. And you got to admit when you're wrong. And that's a hard thing for us as humans, because we got our pride. And when we get heated argument, we just know we're right. And that ain't always the truth. And
Well, they say anger is a wasted emotion. So
yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, it really is. I mean, if you show anger, like if, I don't know, with your kids and they do something wrong, you show a little anger, maybe that might let them know, hey, you did wrong. But I mean, you're not going to go ballistic and start cursing them out or going crazy. But yeah, I mean, it pretty much is a wasted emotion. I mean, if you can solve it without that, I mean, and it's, is what it is. But yeah. But and the topics that I bring up, it's not just interracial relationships and marriage, it's everybody. We all got to work at it. And today's society, we don't work on it. We take the easy way out because it's acceptable. Marriage don't work, you can try it again. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe we just don't take it seriously. But anyway,
I agree with you. I think because so many people, we get focused on the shallow parts of the uh humans. I think in an effort to avoid that, we just focus on the good parts. But I guess
yeah,
maybe it's just the way my mom raised me and the way my grandmother always taught me about scouting and vetting a husband. My grandmother always told me, like, look for the worst parts of a person you can deal with. She said, because that's who you're going to deal with. That's who you're really going to have to sit and deal with on bad days, you know. And when you think of the negative traits of something you're just not willing to deal with, like, in a partner, I think when it comes to interracial dating, that can really help clear up a lot of misconceptions. If you're a woman and you're not really wanting to deal with a man that's gonna argue with you and put you down and that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously with the racial bias, with the racial implications, that could leave a real bad taste in your mouth if he is the type of man that is domineering, who would use his physicality to sort of puff himself up in an argument and demean you. These are just things that all men do regardless of race. But if you're not cognizant of that, prior to y'all dating, you could take a lot of that. You could just take a lot of who he actually is and just make it about race when it really wasn't. So
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. And if they do take it to race, I would suggest that there's a way maybe you can settle it down. Like if my wife took it to race, I mean, I can say, well, yeah, that did happen, and I understand, and it was wrong. Maybe be sympathetic to that, but then again, say, yeah, but you've talked to me about this for the last 10 days. I mean, what are we doing? But I mean, I've never had that problem. But yeah, I mean, that's why I say if you got racial issues, I tell black women this: if you have some kind of anger or you're at white people, you don't need to date nobody white, because even if you're attracted to them and everything, you need to forgive. You have to, or else it ain't going to work. Now on the white people side, I mean, you gotta you gotta have compassion and understand that, hey, they might be coming at it angry because they experienced something that you don't know about. So it's like a two-way street. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta understand, and then you need forgiveness on the other side too. And because I've seen interracial relationships that go south because of race, because they're arguing about race. Well, if you're arguing about race, you should have never got together interracially. I mean, just common sense. But I would just tell people, if there's an issue, you need to. If you can't forgive, you don't need to date. You don't.
Most of the time, it's what breaks up interracial marriages, particularly black and white, is more along the lines of outside forces. Because how society is, and the one or both of them cave to that. That's what usually happens. Because I think if a black and white person get together, they have a mutual understanding already, because they already know what the obstacles are going to be. They already know that it's a huge racial component involved in it. So the main ones that break up because of race be influenced by the outside, and they already were iffy going into it anyways.
Yeah, you're right, Amy, and that's probably more true than anything, because you always have that outside influence. Maybe not so much now, but I did. I mean, there were people that tried to talk me out of marrying my wife because of the racial component, and my wife had a lot of people. Hey, he's not going to treat you right. It ain't going to work. You're going to be, you know, white men. When it goes wrong with them, it really goes wrong. How many times we heard that? They're crazy. I mean, they could be serial killers. They're just out there. They're just weird people. I mean,
Well, you know what? Everybody
Yeah.
got a little craziness. So it's that craziness that they're talking about. Everybody craziness. It goes back to what Becca just said a little bit earlier. It's what her mother said to her. It's all about what you can deal with, and if you can deal with that person's ups and downs or not. Because everybody's gonna have ups and downs, and the grass isn't greener always on the other side.
Yeah. But what
yeah,
he's saying is like what's out there. Like I totally agree with you, Brent. Like, yeah, that's exactly what's out there. Like, especially on the black side. Like, yeah, you'll hear that, yeah, white men are serial killers. They'll put you in a body bag. You know,
yeah,
you know. And I was
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of stereotypes on white people too.
yeah,
oh,
yeah. It goes both ways. Yeah,
it goes both ways, but I totally agree. Like you need to be mentally and spiritually. I mean, if you had to say like more spiritually and mentally aware of and ready for interracial dating, just a little bit. I would say maybe just a centimeter more. Not a centimeter more, not much. Um, if you're wanting to interracial date, because it is a different level, you know. As I've always said, you need to think long term. You're going, if you want to interracial date in your version, you know, for marriage and eventual children, you have to think about your children, you know, and think about, you know, a lot of biracial children who've had a lot of racialized issues. Why? Because the parents brought with them, you know, racialized trauma and
Yeah.
issues. And you know, there is that. I completely agree with you that you need to forgive, and you need to forgive and kind of move on. Like, I can
Yeah.
accept, like, maybe because I'm, again, maybe because I'm young, I'm like, well, look, the white guy in front of me is not the same white guy from back then. You know, that's not the same person.
Yeah.
Why am I holding this person in my head? This is a, well, we have a term, you know, living rent free in my head. You know, I mean, and it is a very real situation, and this is a very real situation. But like I said on the last live, we live in a world where, you know, most of our femicides and female and black female rapes are coming now from black males. So since that is such a reality check, it's so hard. I guess maybe that's why the reality is so jarring for me. I'm like, oh no. I mean, we live in a world where R. Kelly's run the roost. So this idea of the spooky white man being the rapist, you know, that's so far from a lot of young black girls' minds, where, you know, I mean, this idea of, you know, some white guy being a rapist. No, R. Kelly being a rapist, that lives closer. But that's, I don't know. But you know, so this idea of loving and forgiving, I'm like, well, yeah, if you can forgive your fellow black guy and, you know, move on, then I feel like you should bring that exact same energy to non-black men as well. I feel it's unjust. It's not fair to have that sort of energy for one person but not forgive, because I kind of feel like this is a cross I don't feel like having, you know. I mean, when I sit there and I think about it, I'm like, that's just, I mean, outside of interracial dating and just interracial relations, period. I mean, before we even get dating, you know, let's talk about that. Like, that's kind of like, yeah, I'm tired of holding this cross, and white people are tired of you know, talking about it. So it's one of those things where I feel like, hey, at least for me, I'm like, yeah, I I I I'm willing to forgive so I can be free in the spiritual sense. You know, it's not about you at this moment. It's more like so I can be free of it. But that's just me.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because whatever you wrong you do to people, you're not going to get away with it. You're not. God ain't going to allow it. You know, there's going to be something that happens. You're going to be judged on it. You're going. I mean, there's, you know, karma, and you know, it just. I mean, you're not going to get away with it. But you know, when you get that forgiveness, I'd say on the other side, you know, be compassionate too. Be thankful for that forgiveness, because someone forgiving you is a blessing. Even if you didn't do that thing they're forgiving you about, it's still a blessing. And if they can forgive, it does. It's for the victim more so than the person that's being forgiven, because they can move on. They don't hold in that anger. They don't hold in those emotions. They're not carrying it, because that can dig at you. That can cause emotional stress. It can affect you mentally, and if you carry it too far, it can actually hurt you physically. You know, and you know, when you get traumatized by something and you can't forget, oh, that could be disaster. Even if you didn't even experience that trauma, it could still affect you. Just knowing it happened and having anger and emotions, you know. So I mean,
You just have to judge. Now everybody says this consciously, but nobody. But I wouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't judge. They judge don't judge individually. Now it sounds like it's an easy thing to do, but a lot of people don't do that, and that would make uh everything more easier to forgive and move on and have the country and people move forward. and life would be more simple if people didn't waste their time complicating it. Because judging somebody by individuals is should be easy. And just like what it says in the Bible, do unto others as you will have done unto you. That should be easy. But human nature is to always complicate things, and I think that's the real problem. Don't complicate something that doesn't need to be complicated.
Yeah, that's true. I wish we could live that way. And I just wish we could be more positive. I mean, gosh, there's negative to life. I get it. You gotta deal with it. But it's just people are like that. People are people. It's easier to judge somebody than take it on yourself. Like when we criticize people, and we've all been guilty of this. And I have, where I could say something bad about someone, but when it comes to me, I'm like, well, I don't like it at all. And
People need to understand that judging somebody, it just, I'm sorry to cut you off, but people need to take, when it comes to judging somebody, human beings, and I'm including myself in this, are grossly unqualified. You know what I mean? You don't know that person's circumstances, you don't know that person's heart, you don't know that person at all. They're just
yeah,
doing something that you think personally makes you uncomfortable, or you think that's personally wrong. If people understand that they're not qualified to judge another person, then it'll make it easier too. I mean, if whatever that person is doing, like you said, God would judge them, and He don't need no help. He doesn't need flawed help from another person that's probably just as bad, if not worse, than the person that they're judging.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Uh, yeah, but we as people, we with our pride and our egos and everything, we think we're better than other people, at times, and that's where we get in trouble, you know. But yeah, but a good relationship is got to be both people working, both giving everything they got, you know. And if we all had the mindset that I'm going to do the best I can for my wife, and I'm going and not worry about what she's going to do for me, and it would be a better world. But us as humans, we're like, okay, what am I going to get out of this relationship? What is she going to do for me? What is, and a lot of times people don't get married because of that. There's people out there that are worried that they get married, their wife's going to take half, and a lot of these people don't really have a lot. They might make 40,000 a year, and worried about some woman's going to get half. Or there's people that are millionaires worried. I mean, you've seen athletes on TV. You hear stories about them killing the woman that got pregnant by them. I don't know the guy's name, but I mean, he had an NFL career, millionaire. I mean, so she's going to get some child support. You're still a millionaire. I mean, but he went and had her killed, and I don't know, but I mean, he shouldn't have slept with her if he didn't want to marry her, in my opinion. You shouldn't lay with someone you ain't going to marry. And the Bible says, whoever you lay with, that's your wife. And boy, you know, can you imagine if we followed those rules? It'd be a different world. A lot more people get married. Like,
Look, my brother would have about 60 wives at this point.
Well, what I'm saying is if, you have the first one, that's your wife. Boom. You can't sleep with nobody else. You can't have no relationship. That's your wife. Now, if we did it like that,
There's no fun in that though. See, that's the problem. There's no fun in all of that.
That
You know,
sounds
I
yeah,
that sounds like a sci-fi movie. Like, what if God just got tired of people and just said, "Look, from this time forward, the next person you sleep with, that's it. That's it. You can't sleep with nobody else, and that would be your
um,
wife." Oh my God, that would drive people insane.
if that happened, they would definitely have to choose more selectively and wisely than if that was actually a reality.
Well, y'all would be set, and I would be set because I haven't done anything in like 8, 10 years. So, but for the rest of the folk who don't know and just becoming aware, that would change the game. That would change the game. They wouldn't know what to do. That would not. But anyway, I I don't know. It's just like nobody talks about morals and ethics anymore. You know.
They don't.
Not at all. And they don't understand that morals, real true morals are universal and they never change. It ain't a morals. People get mixed up morals with what they personally want and what personally makes them comfortable, as opposed to looking at it in the collective way that will benefit mankind instead of just them.
I mean, I feel like when you, I mean, all a real relationship is outside of race. When you, I mean, because some of the stuff we were talking about last time, I mean, outside of race, it really is just two people coming together, and
Yeah,
two people dating. I mean, that's pretty much, you leave behind the I's and the me's and become a we. That's exactly what it is. You're melding in that, and you have the cognitive understanding that you're leaving the me's and you're wanting to form a we. Now, what that we looks like, that's what courtship is. You're understanding what a we will look like with this person. So, when it comes to stuff like that, that's when morals and values actually matter, because what kind of lifestyle it is. you know I wouldn't mind being on a farm with somebody. I'd probably be useless because I'm a city girl, but I wouldn't
yeah,
mind. I understand it. I wouldn't mind like a reduced life, but when it comes to morals, like certain things, like I'm very blunt. I don't like lies. So that's one moral that I strictly, I couldn't be with someone who is very indirect. It would drive me insane. And that's a morality I would have to have in my house. So there's certain things that, you know, I would have we would have to have eye to eye on. What sort of things for you, Brett? Amy?
Well, see, that just goes to show you that everybody's different. Because with me, I'm very good at reading people, whether they tell me flat out something or not. And so my relationship with my husband is that he don't have to flat out tell me anything because I know him so well. I can tell when something's bothering him, and he don't have to say anything. And it doesn't bother me that he's not direct because he never was direct. I was just good at reading people, and so I don't mind that. I'm a direct person, but I don't need another direct person. So it's two different. So you're obviously different because you just said you are, but that's okay. It's all about what you said, what you can deal with, and what works for you. And you and your man or vice or your woman have to be on the same page. But you're not gonna know that unless you get to actually know that person and look beyond the physical attraction.
yeah. And a lot of times we don't get past that physical attraction. A lot of times we're so worried about what they look like. And I'm not saying just attraction. Yeah, we want our significant other to be attractive, but we got to be realistic too. You could have someone that looks nice and that's well rounded, or you can have a supermodel that's not. And I'm not saying a supermodel can't be everything, but it's kind of rare. Um, Most people are average looking. Most of us are in this world. I mean, being honest. I mean, most guys ain't a Brad Pitt or Denzel Washington. You know what I mean? Most guys don't look like that. Most guys just look like everyday guys. And women, you're not going to have a woman that looks like what's her name? Naomi Campbell, or someone like that, or Beyonce, or something. Most people are just average. Um,
And
but
people gotta understand. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
then again, I mean, to you, it might not be average. They might be fine, and to others, they're just average. Beauty is subjective, and what I talked about in one of my videos is I found women attractive at times that just dressed nice, that just were professional, that just carried themselves a certain way. And they didn't have to be a knockout. They could be average, but how they carried themselves brought them above average. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
attitude. Yeah, attitude goes a long way. It goes more a long way than physical look. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think like I mean, if you're dating for marriage, I mean, I feel like, and maybe because I am getting old, I'm like, I feel like a man who's average looking as a husband is actually kind of better, because if you have an attractive husband, it causes, from what I've been seeing, it causes a lot of problems. Now I have a my one of my uncle. I have an uncle. He's very attractive. Now, even as his niece, I would look at him and say he's a very attractive man. He has been
Yeah.
divorced 4 times. He just keeps cheating. I have seen women my age flirt with him. I have seen girls when he picked me up from high school. My classmates really just said, "Is that your uncle?" I was like, "Yeah." Oh, he's fine. And so yeah, we've had those problems. Yes. So yeah, so I've seen that in real life, and I'm just like, you know what? Just maybe not bottom shelf bread, but average Joe is okay. I mean,
Yeah.
we live in a world where and besides, when you get to people who've always been attractive and always had it made, sometimes they lack the character skills that you need to build a life with.
I
I
was
mean,
just about to say that you put the words right out my mouth. You know that privilege thing, the pretty privilege.
yeah,
Yeah.
even with men, it's really hard. Sometimes it goes both ways. I mean, some of them can be like a Leonardo DiCaprio, who've always been like a pretty boy, and they've had to really struggle and fight to prove I'm worthy. Or they can just kind of just suck it up and be kind of pampered and spoiled with it. It goes different ways. And when it comes to like women, I'm a very strong person. Like I've always liked the guys that were lesser popular. I don't know why. Like, you don't have to be. I don't like you to be showy. I kind of like you to be kind of chilling in the back. I don't really care if no one finds you attractive. I find that even better. But it's all about how do you make me feel when I'm with you. Or how do you treat people? How do you treat people, for me, is a very good indicator, because uh I like people to be nicer than I am, actually. More
Yeah.
kinder than I am, and gentler, because I have a temper and I know that. So that's why I've said, like, from other people, like, knowing what you're able to deal with. Um, and so when you're talking about like interracial dating, these things kind of matter, because I've when people push their buttons into I forgot that girl. She shared a story about how she was out and about with her boyfriend, and this black guy just gave them mean looks and pushed them. I mean, those kind of things can really irk a man. um
Yeah.
can really really push a button. And so I kind of feel like those kind of understanding, like, what kind of levels are you willing to deal with, are kind of important. It's been said many times about certain YouTuber who got in issues. I feel like that kind of pushed me, like, okay, this is something that needs to be said. Like, no, you need to be able to be prepared for the worst. Being
Yeah.
pushed. So that's just me.
Well, my whole thing is with that is, you have to understand especially with an interracial relationship, because it has an extra baggage because you're interracial. You got to understand it's you and her, or it's her, you and him. You don't have to worry about everybody else. You're gonna get that regardless, probably anyway, through somebody else. So life is like that with people like that. So you got to be understand that it's you and that person together. It's not that other a bunch of other people, because they're not doing anything for you and they don't know you like that. So don't worry about them. It's you and me.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I want to say something real quick. I got a question in the comment section from Believe. Hey, Believe, welcome to the show. I haven't seen you before. Um, she's asking, uh, what does swirling done right mean? Okay, I want to answer that. Swirling done right is interracially dating for the right reasons. Interracially being in a relationship, because when we say swirling, that's people of different races in a relationship. And swirling done right is you're doing it for the right reasons, because you care for that person, because you want to be in a relationship with that person, and you might want to marry that person. Those are the right reasons. Swirling done wrong is where you're just trying to get with that person because of a fantasy, or you just want to hook up. That's where, to me, is wrong. When it's done right, you're doing it because you love that person, because you want to be with that person, and that person's of a different race. That to me is swirling done right, when you do it for the right reasons. And if you're not swirling, you're in your own race. Of course, you want to have a relationship for the right reasons also. That goes hand in hand. But I just wanted to put that out there because she asked that question. So I just wanted to answer that. Sorry about that, ladies.
And you can also tell, because it is going around a lot in the internet, and you even complained about it yourself about white men having a fetish thing. The way you
Yeah.
can tell the difference between a white man that's really interested in black women and just have a fetish, if he is like interested in when she talks about racial issues, if she has to, and he's willing to listen and all that. He's not hating on other black people or anything like that. He actually generally has a love for you, and even though if he has constructive criticism like we do of black people or whatever, they still respectable with it. But they're not going to sit up there and just talk bad about the black race, or the black woman won't just talk bad about the white race. That's how you could tell if they have a mutual respect already going into a relationship, and then it's not just a fetish.
Yeah. And two, when you can criticize, and constructive criticism. If I've made the point where I've talked about 1 out of 4 black women getting only 1 out of 4 black women getting married statistically. That's like constructive criticism. Like, hey, more people need to get married, but across the board in society, less people are getting married in every group. Let's just it is just tell it like it is. It is what it is. But that can be a constructive criticism, or I could say, oh, they're no good. They don't even marry each other. Now that would be wrong.
Right, you're not judging. See, what you're doing is constructive criticism and judging isn't the same thing. And you're not saying black men are terrible for not doing that. They're just terrible. You need to come to us. No, you're saying, hey, black man, if you feel like we're taking something from you that's valuable, then you step up to the plate and you marry your woman and treat your woman good. Otherwise, it ain't going to be our fault you lose her. It's going to be your fault you lose her.
Yeah, and my point was too that there's plenty of women. I mean, there's not white men knocking down doors taking all the black women. That's never going to happen. There's plenty to go around, and I think men, we pretty much do what we want more than women, and I think that's why well, maybe not so much with white people when it comes, but black men are out there, they're dating and marrying who they want. And black women do it too, but they're more race loyal. And Becky's out there dating more, but Brad's more race loyal. Not all. I mean, and it's changing. More interracial couples than ever, every day. And black women and white men are the smallest group, but they're growing every day. And one day they might not be the smallest group. They might be, in the middle. They might even be the biggest. We don't know what the future holds. But my thing is we should be who we're with, because it ain't going to last if your heart's not in it. I don't care if you're both professional people and got lots of money, and on paper it looks great, but if you don't really have love for that person, it ain't going to work, because you're going to be seeking somebody else. And that's my thing. When I see people, looking at the outer, the man, how much money does he make, the woman, what's her dress size, that type thing. I mean, if that's what you like, but be beware. You got to get to know the whole person, or it's not going to go well. You know.
I agree. I mean, it's sad to say this, but I think when we talk about like black men, white women couples, I think they do stay on the more social clout of the attract of those couples, just the social clout they can benefit from those, from being in those relationships, rather than what's actually happening with those relationships. I think when you see a lot of black white men, black women couples, we actually do focus on that like aspect, like the spiritual aspect. I do notice, like, when it comes to like white men and black women, we do need, like, in our relationships, we need our intellect to be fed, as well as our romantic sides to be fed, in order to be happy in a relationship.
Yeah.
um and I do notice that our gender counterparts don't necessarily need to do that. No shade to anybody else, but I'm just saying, I do notice that they don't. They'll be perfectly fine, and they're entitled to. And this is just a broad generalization. But they don't need that necessarily. They're open to other races where that can lessen, or the love languages or differ. But we need that. That's like, oh, we can't be in a relationship with you at all if you can't feed that with us. So it's so different. It's so weird how that happens. It's so weird how that happens, but that's kind of like, no, baby, we need this. This is how we love. This is how we see the world.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, um I guess that would be just like in the manual to say, of swirling gone right. You kind of have to understand how we are, and you have to understand how you are. Like, no, your intellect, you need to be loved in your intellect and heart and romantic side. Otherwise, it's just not tangible for you. And if it's not reaching you in both those ways, it feels really odd.
Yeah. I have another question. Believe asked me in the comments. Why is it that black women, white men are more race loyal than but others are not?
Yeah, that's
I think.
I don't think
You,
they have to be. That's the reason. I don't think they have to be. Black women always have to be waist loyal, even more so than white men do, because we got the stigma uh, of white men just doing anything they want to us, so that everybody else is looking at us like, why would you want them willingly now? And so it's almost like you're being a traitor to your own race. Even though black men aren't look like that, our black male counterparts aren't look like that. They're looked at as oh, I got the white girl now because I couldn't have her before, and so now everybody's almost expecting them to go. But with us, it's like, the history of it. You shouldn't want any white man at all, and it makes makes black women feel guilty, and so that's why I think a lot of black women are waist loyal, because the guilt that comes with that.
what you were going to
yeah.
say, Brent.
I was going to say the reason I think that we're loyal, black women, white men. Black women, like Amy said, I think she's right, and I think black women have big hearts and they love their people. So I'm not. I don't think. I think a lot of them are loyal because they just feel they got to be loyal and they love their people. I don't think it's all racial. Does that make sense? But in white men, I think it's more cultural. Um, we just always been the head of the household, and we always lived that way, and and people have generally through time stayed together racially. Um, there's been times, people have went outside the race and married and had families, but I think it's culturally with white men, but it's changing. More of us are dating and marrying out. Asians, I don't know what it is, but white men are marrying Asians like crazy. I'm seeing it all over the place. I mean, yeah. they're marrying more black women too, but Asian seems like I read this study where it said that Asians women marry white men more than their own
They
in
do.
America, and
Really?
I'm starting to believe it because where I work, I see Asian women all over the place. I don't hardly see any black women. I mean, but where I work, there's not a big black population, but I see a lot of Asians, and there's not really a big Asian population. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
it does, and actually, what that's creating is a gender gap within Asian America, because there's so the funny thing is, Asia, the way black men are known to treat black women, Asian women treat a lot of Asian men, and there's been so many discourses from Asian men about it, the racial stereotypes about Asian men, certain Asian women will feed into it and completely disregard them. And all kinds of stuff. It's been real. I was just really shocked. I was really shocked to kind of know about that. I was like, really? I'm like,
yeah,
you and because of the propensity of interracial dating, they're only less than 6% of the population as is. Now with interracial dating, it's looking like they might shrink down to 3 within 20 years. So it's gotten so big. I remember when I, as a black woman, when I have when I've dated like or been seen with white guys, I've had certain Asian women come up to me and been really surprised that that white guy didn't fawn over her as opposed to being with me. So it was just it's been a lot of interesting. There's a lot of interesting dialogue there,
yeah,
but it's definitely happening a lot more,
yeah. It's
especially in Cali.
There's actually as far as Asian people period goes, there's a lot of stereotypes regarding Asians too, like they're really smart and hard working, smarter than everybody else. And so I think that probably has something to do with it too. And there's also stereotypes about white men that they're the most hard working, they're the smartest. And so that kind of I think is another reason why you see Asian women and white men getting together more than they used to. Maybe that has
yeah,
something to do with it too.
maybe. I've heard people say, yeah, and I read this study where it said that economically Asians lead the way financially
Mm-hmm.
above every racial group, and I believe it to be true because I've dealt with Asian people in where I live, and they seem to be really educated, smart. When I would take my daughter to her piano class, they were a Korean, and I mean they had a school where they taught people the instruments, and my daughter's really good at the piano because they taught her well, but their kids were all in college. They were all and they were all familiar with instruments. They really trained them with, and, well, that was their thing, music, but really educated. And not to say other people don't have educated kids. All my kids are college educated, but I just I just see the structure. To me, it seems positive. Now, there are some Asians that aren't so well off and have issues like everybody else. I'm not saying, but statistically, they're leading the way in that area. And when we talk about statistics, marriage, finances, don't hate that person because they're outdoing you. I mean, why would I hate an Asian man because he makes more money than me or he's smarter? Maybe he did something that I failed to do, and you know what? I need to look at him. Hey, what did you do? How did it work for you? But
A lot of people do not look at it like that though, Brent. They look at it as that if this person over here is making it, then that means they're taking something from me instead of something that my shortcomings and something that I'm doing wrong. It's easier to blame somebody for your failures than to take responsibility for yourself.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, that's human nature. None of us want to admit our faults. That's the hardest thing to admit. You're wrong and you messed up. I hate it. I mean, like last night's live, I hate saying I messed it up. But the truth is the truth, and the truth, you got to own up to it. You make mistakes, you got to move on and learn from it. You know,
Yeah,
and
your acknowledgement is the first thing, though.
yeah, and I mean, I shouldn't get too crazy because it's YouTube. YouTube's YouTube. I'd rather make a mistake like that than one that affects my family. So, but I mean, it's hard to admit when you're wrong, even on stuff that people might seem to think it's little things. It's just human nature. We all want to believe we're right. We all want to, have people look at us in a positive way. And, sometimes people don't. And with me, I'm a humble person. I mean, when someone says something good, I really appreciate it because, I've messed up some things in my life. I've had failures in my life.
Failure is all right though, Brent, because if you have a level mind like you do and a humble mind, you will learn from those mistakes, like you said, because you will reevaluate what you did wrong, and that way you better the second time around and the third time around. You reevaluate your method. You evolve. And so mistakes are almost necessary in order for a person to evolve in life. So don't ever knock out mistakes. Mistakes are looked at as a negative, but I look at it as a positive, actually.
Yeah, well, it is. If you learn from it, sure is. Yeah. And you know, I think that in life we all have successes and failures. It is no matter who you are, you're going to fail at things. Some things you're going to succeed at, and I just think if you just keep going and don't quit, in the end you're going to win. You know, but a lot of people don't look at it like that. They look at your failure now and just judge you on it. I know back in when I got out of the army, when I retired, I had a job making $100,000 a year, contracting overseas. And because of a health issue I had, they let me go. And I quit the job I had to get that job and ended up with no job. So that hurt, and I remember that. And my wife was amazing with it. She never ragged me about it. She didn't. She said we're going to be fine, And I know I told the story that she said, you know what? Because I was saying, well, how am I going to make the house payment? And she says, it don't matter if we're in a house or a cardboard box. I'm with you. And that's just how my wife is. She's just loving like that. And I was able to recover, and things are better now than then. I mean, God will bless you. I just think, like you said, failures, it's a good thing because it helps you appreciate what you got, and it helps you improve. Um, Now, that wasn't really my fault, but I mean, I don't take nothing for granted, and I put more money away than I did then. Oh, yeah, you know what? That was good for me and my wife because we really learned how to budget money right because we had to pinch pennies to get through that struggle. So yeah, I mean you're right. I mean failure is a good thing. I mean if you give it your all and you fail at it, but you bounce back up, you pick yourself back, and move up, move on.
It makes you more determined. The more effort you put into something and you fail, it makes you more determined to try again. And eventually, this is maybe I'm just wishing here, but eventually I feel that if that person keep on trying, they can make it whatever it is that they're doing. You have to visualize it and see the end of the tunnel, which is what I did with school. I never thought that I would actually make it, but I actually did. And the closer I got to that goal, the more determined I became.
Yeah, yeah, true. I have another question. Believe asked, so why the stereotypes that is on the black women, BW, I think black women, the reason why our marriage rate is low? I don't believe that. I don't think it's on the black woman because there's more black women. I think it's a combination of maybe more men and societal morals. I would say that's why it's low. And look, I mean, and with white people, our marriage rate's low too. I mean, it's across the board. And I heard somebody say, this black guy YouTuber, he says, white people, you can say that we don't get married and we do this and we have issues, but it's coming to your neighborhood. It's coming to a theater near you. And he's right. It is. It just, maybe it's not as much, but I see it in my family. We got people having kids and not getting married. It's all over. And that's another reason I think we should have the option to date out, because the more access you have to people, the more you have the opportunity to finding that quality person for those of us that want to get married and live that traditional life.
Also, I would like to say that I think one thing we have to remember is how much hatred is there for black women. Like, how dare you blame women for the failure of interracial dating? Like, if this had been any other race of women, the feminists would have swarmed in and rushed to defend that. But because we're the darkest of all women, nobody just says, oh, okay. And again, when we talk about colorism, all non-black women benefit from seeing us at the bottom. So there really is, it sounds, a little dystopian, but there is no help, because people always love to have someone on the bottom so they feel on top. And with that being said, a lot of people have used to the hierarchy of race, where if black is on the bottom, the black woman is on the bottom. So they kind of get that rush from it. But that's not an actual truth. It's just,
yeah,
it's not an actual truth. It's just that we're race loyal, especially in today's time. I don't know. I don't know. When you look throughout history, there's so many interracial dating. There's so many black women who've interracially dated throughout the ages in this country. There's one of my favorite stories that I just saw on YouTube. It was like this white guy. He's actually kind of famous, and I forgot his name, but he was a rich white guy. He was a scientist. He fell in love with this black woman, and they couldn't be together. So you know what he did? He changed his race and just lived as a black man till he died.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that last night too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was they call him the original black catfisher in the 1800s. It was Clarence King.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I was like, his name starts with a K.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a show on him. I got to get the video. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, I don't know if I'll do it tomorrow, but I'll do a live on him. That would be fun, I think.
He's a prime example of, if you really truly love that person, whether or not, no matter what society says, you will get around those obstacles and you will do what you have to do.
Yeah, and it wasn't that he was. You could see him and know he's not a black guy. He looks white as I do, but he was posing as having, what was that, a percentage?
Mm-hmm.
Because
he was posing as an octoroon.
Yeah, I don't know the terminologies for that stuff, but yeah, that they would put white people that did have some black in them, even no matter how far away, as black. Or maybe they had some other classification, but yeah, they would do that.
Can you tell me how to do send you a link to like a video, send a video to you, because I don't know how. the reason why I asked because there's this town, I think I told you before in another show, that they had black and white people mixed in together so much that it was a rumor that Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings kids resided there. And to this day, that town still exists, and they all just consider each other black because the white people that lived there were treated as black because they were mixed, and some of them weren't, but they were not racist. They were abolitionists, is what they were, and so they were treated as though they were black, and so they just like, forget it, then I'm just gonna call myself black. And to this
Yeah.
day, they mostly look white now, but they still, majority of them claim, hey, we're black.
Yeah. For your question, for sending that link, you can go on your laptop and cut and paste the link and put it in my comment section or email. You can do it that way, or you can just type in the link and send it to me.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
really interesting. I think you should you know
yeah,
look at that.
I'll look into that. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it's an interracial town is what it was. It's an interracial town.
Well, and it was from Sally Hemings.
No, that was just a rumor. It was so integrated in that town that they rumor had it that Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings' children resided there after the death of their mother, which wasn't true, but it was a rumor for a long time that what it was, and it was formulated in the 1800s all the way up to now, and it's
But
in Iowa, huh?
oh, okay. Well, Sally Hemings was only a quarter black. She was three-fourths white.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
she
and
was
her
Thomas Jefferson's half sister.
wasn't that his sister-in-law?
Yeah, I mean, it's sister-in-law.
It's half sister. That's incest.
Yeah.
Well, no, no, no. It really was Thomas Jeff. It was no. I'm sorry. It was Thomas Jefferson's wife's half sister.
Oh
Excuse me.
yeah. Okay, yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah,
that's his sister. That's a whole other story.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. That's not what it was. My bad.
Boy, I saw a video on YouTube where these two people were on, and they were married for like several years and had kids, and they found out they were brother and sister.
What really?
Yeah,
What are
Oh
the
yeah.
odds?
I don't know. That would mess you up, wouldn't it? I mean, if oh gosh,
They're gonna need some serious therapy after that, man.
oh yeah, that's lifelong therapy there.
That's a good joint right there.
Yeah,
I mean, I love my brothers and all that, but I don't want to get with them.
yeah,
You said
right.
cousin or brother? Wait, I'm sorry. Wait,
No, they're
what?
brother
I
and
said
sister.
brother and
Oh no.
sister.
Oh no, baby.
Well, you know what's crazy is all throughout the world there were like royal families that would actually interbreed with their families, with brother and sister and stuff. And I think King Tut, I saw a thing on him. He had like four generations of brother and sister because they believed that it was like the royal blood that.
Yeah.
And that's why King Tut had all them disabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was messed up because the genetic information was the same over and over.
Yeah.
Because they and males, when that's done, they said that male children have it worse than female for some reason. But yeah, and you see the old statues, they have them that they had a real huge belly and real skinny, real kind of odd looking. But yeah, the genetics was just off.
yeah. Cleopatra was married to two of her brothers, and so yeah. Um, and also, when Prince Philip died, it was my first time. That's when I knew like the Meghan Markle situation was really some racism, because I did not know that Prince Philip was her cousin, her legit cousin. I was like, wait, what?
First cousin?
Yes, baby. Yes, baby. Her first cousin. I was like, so wait, you're married to your cousin, your first cousin, and but you have a problem that Harry got him some new blood that's not a cousin. Some new blood. That's the first time Harry, there's been blood that's not nowhere near that continent because they intermarry, like you just said, Brent, for years. For
Yeah,
years.
they don't do that now, but I mean, yeah, back in the day they did. And I think I think don't tell me if I'm wrong. Anybody listening? Wasn't there another black woman that married into the royal family back in the
Yes, Prince Charlotte.
yeah? Was that the like 1600s
Mm-hmm.
or seven? Yeah, I gotta you know what I ought to do a story on that. That would be neat. Yeah, because I was watching History Channel and they were talking about her, and she was a black woman. So
This
I
Prince.
guess Megan wasn't the first.
I never heard of her. I'm not
Well,
surprised that Megan wasn't the first though.
I mean,
Yeah,
well, yeah, Prince Charlotte, and then you have like Belle. They made that movie Belle about her. She was just like a cousin's cousin, but yeah, but yeah, I mean Prince Philip was the legit cousin. I'm like, oh my, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, your aunt's your aunt's child. This is wild. But hey,
yeah,
this is what we're dealing with.
Not to change the subject, but I think April and April and Corey are doing a little hookup thing in the some
oh,
comment
again,
section.
hey kids, what are you doing? Like, what are you?
See, what's
uh,
happening is April and Corey are becoming friends. See, when you have, when you, especially is crucial to any relationship, but it's especially crucial to an interracial relationship between black woman and white man. I think the best way is to be friends first. You know
yeah,
what I mean? To
right.
be friends because you already know each other. You know each other's dislikes. You know each other's likes. You know each other's turn ons. You know each other's shortcomings. You have to know the person. That's swirling done right and that's dating done right. You can't go into a relationship not knowing anything about them. I mean, you could, but it's a recipe for failure more so than somebody that you know that you've been around for a while.
Yeah, too. And then once you get to know them, you can find out, hey, this is a good thing, or you can find out, hey, maybe this ain't so good. You know, I mean, it could go either way with it. Yeah, you need to get to know that person, and that's part of the vetting process. That's where dating comes in. It ain't to take them to dinner and you try to have relations. No, it's about getting to know them. Hey, what are your values? And when I tell people when they're on a date, let that person talk. Don't don't get hung up talking about yourself. Let them talk about themselves. Be interested in what they say, because you know what? At times, and I've said this, there's time they'll tell on themselves. You let them talk enough, they'll tell on themselves, and you can find out information that way. Both men and women, you know. I, I mean,
Yeah, they're
some people.
actually doing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that there are good actors, but a lot of times you catch them telling on themselves. But that's what I was going to say.
Well, I think they're doing in the comment section right now because I'm going back and forth. They're doing something right. What they're doing is they're asking each other questions like, "Do you like the snow?" They were talking about. Where you from? And Corey said he's from Alaska and he loves the snow and all that. See, they're getting to know each other with through small talk and all that. You don't have to get to know somebody just by saying, hey baby this, hey baby that. You're talking about casual things, things that this person could possibly be interested in, and that way you get a feel for the person.
Yeah, you know what? How does anybody think it's okay to walk up to a woman and say, "Dang, you got a banging body" or something like that? I mean, common sense, wouldn't that be kind of disrespectful? Wouldn't you just say, "You know what? You're real beautiful." You know?
That's because it's socially acceptable. That's why. Just like what
Yeah.
she was saying earlier, people don't do morals and ethics anymore. They don't. That doesn't even cross their mind. They just doing what they see other people doing. It's all about sociology. People are not the individuals that they appear to be. You ever hear somebody regurgitate the same arguments and they don't even know the other person, but they both have a similar belief, so they regurgitate the same thing without even knowing what it is that they're against or for? Is because of sociology. it shapes, molds, and frames human beings where they're not the individuals that they think they are. And so when they see somebody else who says, "Hey, baby, you got a nice ass" or something, they're gonna and the woman does not, and then he lets them, then they're gonna say, "Hey, I could do it too," because it's commonplace, it's in the norm.
Yeah, but
I
I
agree. I just think that, well, first of all, I think it's a multifaceted answer. I think feminism killed it as well, because you did have women who would, bite off men's heads, said, if they tried to get to know them, in a very polite way. You see this all the time. They like, "Oh, I don't want this, swab. I know what you're trying to do, blah blah blah." And then it's like, well, I was trying to be nice. And then, how do you get to know each other? How do you get to know each other? I will go on for years on how, white feminism has killed chivalry and kind of made men more hesitant, because it's like, well, how can I actually talk to you now? How do I even talk to you now without you biting my head off, or sort of, you know, you framing me as a creep before I actually without me actually being a creep. But that's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no need to be that way. Women can be, and this is what I found in black women. That, and I'm not going to say all, but a lot of them that I've approached, that they might have been confident, but they're approachable. They're and you approach them and they turn you down, but it's like in a nice way, you know, or they can accept you, but it's I don't know, it's like and this is a quality I love, because it's like they appreciate you approaching them, but whether she's interested in you or not, she appreciates it, you know. Um, and women don't need to be rude to men. I mean, if you're not interested, tell them you're not interested. But we got crazies out there, crazy men that get turned down and just go on a rampage and assault women.
And
Um,
that started to be socially acceptable too. You got other guys standing around when a man assaults a woman because she says no to him, and she can be polite, but it's become socially acceptable for him to hit her. Another lady got shot in the head because she said no. It's all about what's socially acceptable. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be like that, but that's how it is.
I don't think
yeah,
any I don't think anybody's finding that socially acceptable, man.
Well,
no,
I don't think they are either. I'm talking about the people that's actually doing it, not the outside of the other people like us. And most people think, yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, the people that are standing around watching and the person that's doing it thinks it's acceptable. That's why
I
you see so many videos going viral with them doing that.
that's, yeah, but that's always happened though, Amy, since the dawn of time. Murder of women, denying advances. Unfortunately, that has always happened. It's even in mythology. Um, that's nothing new under the sun. But the regulations of it and how we punish it and how we interpret it, yes. Now men have more access to women like never before. Now the only thing that's changed in time, throughout antiquity, is that, yeah, a girl's father probably would have shot him, with his shotgun, and nobody would have, no, he would not have gone to jail, or his brothers, would have strung him up or something like that. But that's about it. But as far as like, denying and advances, and, yeah, a man trying to kill her, that's old. But the social effects of it, that's different.
Yeah, that's true. It is pretty old. I mean, but it's just it's getting caught on camera now because everybody has phones now, and it's the same thing with I think partially why white men are going for black women more, because it's a small percentage, I guess, but it's growing because the angry black woman stereotype isn't holding water as much anymore, because you're seeing these Karens go off on a tangent, acting like little 2-year old spoiled brats. So how can you say we're angry when look at all these damn Karens?
Yeah, like I made a video. You remember that video I did of that woman going off?
In Victoria's Secret?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was tripping completely. And you know what happened? And this is the norm too. And this is not nothing new. Everybody got on that was there, didn't do anything. But when she started screaming and hollering, thinking like she convulsing, they blamed the black woman and say, you need to leave. And they didn't even tell the white lady who was causing the disturbance to leave. They told the black lady to stop filming and leave. And that's a social norm too that's been around in America for the longest.
Yeah.
All of it is just getting caught on tape. That's the only difference.
Yeah, they should have. I don't know. I think that looking back at that situation, the police should have just. And they should have just escorted that woman out because she's throwing a fit. She's creating a disturbance. The other woman was just filming. Now you could say maybe she shouldn't have filmed it, but really, she's not at wrong. You could film anything you want. I mean, so I don't know why they would tell her to leave. You know, but like I said, you know,
That was just racism. That was just the war on black women because, no offense, but the white woman slapped her. Of course I'm going to film. You know, she slapped her.
Yeah, you know what? That film made her case though, because who was flipping out? Who was just standing there filming?
She was a terrible actor too. I mean, she didn't even fall on the floor convincingly. My 4-year-old does convincingly tantrums better than that. Like, what the hell was that?
My favorite podcasters I have been listening to for 15 years, Double Toasted. They had a whole video about this. They tore to pieces because she felt like a dummy, like the dummy you see in films when they like somebody's falling off a building, like literally just fell, and she didn't even do it like convincingly. It was just disgusting, but I don't know.
The black lady started laughing at her after a while when she did it. She was like, "Can you believe this, man?" I was like, "You can't act better than that."
Yeah.
Where's Patrice?
I don't know. She ain't on tonight. Maybe she's at another live.
Yeah, she said she'd be on lives a lot.
Yeah. And what were we? What? I'm sorry. I'm losing my track of mind. I'm sitting here looking at comments and stuff. What were we talking about? I know we were talking about. Gosh, I forgot. We were talking about what we're talking about perception or black women, something about black women
Yeah, our perception
being blamed.
Yeah,
Is that right?
yeah.
Well, you have to understand, it's always easy to punch down on somebody, and black women, unfortunately, even though we don't deserve it, are at the bottom of the barrel of the hierarchy in society. So if you're gonna punch down, they're gonna punch us down completely. You know, they're not gonna acknowledge anything that we have achieved, anything that we accomplished. None of that. It's just I want to punch down. And punching down on black women almost makes it so they can go higher up in the hierarchy and they get more respect the more they talk bad about black women. That's why you see on YouTube a lot, you got people, even black men, mocking black women.
Yeah, that's weird to me. I always, and maybe it's a YouTube thing, but well, no, I've seen black men go in on black women. That to me is weird. Like I don't do that. I mean, my preference is black women, but I don't attack white women. I mean, I might make fun of them, you know, call them Becky's and stuff, but it's not. I'm not saying they're losers or they're just. I mean, I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not going in on them. I'm not. You know. Maybe it's a cultural thing, but you know, I mean but that's changing though. Black women are seeing the mad black woman is not really holding water anymore. Actually, you're starting to see black women as professional, successful, and statistically, they really are. I mean, and the ones I've been around are very successful. You know,
I mean, to be honest, I just think it's kind of a ethnic jealousy. Um,
maybe,
it's an ethnic jealousy. I mean, uh, black women own more businesses than black men. We're way more educated, and the truth of the matter is the tide is shifting. Whether or not black men really want to admit it or not, people know who they are at this point. They know who they are, and it's the sort of it's no point of arguing at this point who really is doing the stuff for our community. So and it's the sort of cultural naivety black men have about themselves that putting down other women to other races of men makes you look weak, because that's the easiest thing you can do is put down another woman, especially if she's not the type of woman who's kind of like a hag. If you're one of those like really bitter, like shrill, she's getting at you, I can see, other men can kind of understand why you might pop off at her. But if you're just an average everyday woman doing your things and you're just being petty with her just to be petty, other men don't look at that and think that's appropriate, and like I said, I just think black men need to just black men are just going to fall on their own sword. Black men are just going to fall on their own sword when it comes to that. It's weird. They know it's weird. But here's the thing. When I step into my own spiritualness, I know the Abrahamic God judges men more harshly. When it gets to the point where the vessel is more uprighteous than the essence, and when you have these men who have the seed and they're starting to corrupt the women, I've never seen anything like it. When Adam starts to corrupt Eve more, that's when it's time to leave, and that's when something is amiss, because it's normally like you see the Jezebels or the Delilahs leading the women amiss, or breaking their spirits. You never see like the devout women getting broken by the Samsons and Adams. You rarely see this. So for me, it's just some really sinister spiritual stuff coming in. They're not right within, and that's where I leave it. And that's where I leave it at. They're not right within. They're not happy within. Black women may, as a blessing, sometimes your curses can become your blessings, because we get so much flack. We have the
yeah,
actual character development and strength that we can take that, and we know who we are. We know adversity. You're not going to tell me who I am, because I've been through adversity. And that showed me who I was. But hey.
I think that's similar to white men and white women too. I think what you just said is the same thing, except it's with white women being insecure about it, because they've always been on the pedestal as far as beauty, intelligence. They've been on the pedestal for women, but now that black women are more educated, we start our own businesses more so than anybody else, and white men are noticing. White women are like, okay, you're leaving me for her, and it's a lot of sexual not sexual jealousy and gender jealousy coming from white women too, uh and it's directed towards black women as well. That's why. And I also think that um a lot of I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
something about white men and black women and being like almost.
Yeah, I think white men are starting to see that black women are the jack of all trades, and it's not the white women so much, and white women are feeling threatened. So white men get it from white women too, just like black women get it from black men. And so I think that's kind of come making us come together closer. And plus, you also see everybody has a phone now, a cell phone with a camera on it. And so, black men always, talk down about black women all the time, but yet these Karens are acting crazy. And so, who's actually the better choice? Is it the Karen or is it the black lady that's starting a business that's trying to better herself? And it's putting black men on blast a lot with the Karens. So why are you choosing her? Why are you saying we're the angry when you look at the Karens?
And also,
Yeah.
I agree. And also, I mean, it's sad to say this, but the education gap between black men and other men of other races is really apparent. You can't keep saying, I mean, and the reason why that's significant because that changes how you're instructed in thinking, you know, instructed in thinking, and what you've actually, just the level of knowledge you have as a collective to be able to ascertain fact from fiction. When you keep saying, black men will say these really emotionally, illogical arguments that's riddled with logical fallacies and a lot of stereotypes. Somebody else comes from educational background. You can easily poke holes through that. This is not right. This is false. Black women are most educated. I have met black women who have had high degrees who make more sense than X, Y, and Z. And you can kind of poke holes through this kind of conversation, and the same conversation with white women, and the same conversation. You're right, Amy. You can see the same conversation. Black men will go to bat for I forgot. It was these two announcers, these two sport announcers of some. I don't watch basketball. I'm a soccer fan. It was these two reporters. It was a white woman and a black woman. The network wanted to go with the black woman instead, and the white woman was upset, and she said that she felt like it was racially motivated that she didn't get the job, and the black man defended the white woman instead. And this is also a similar situation with Terry Crews and Gabrielle Union. Again, Gabrielle Union supported him with his sexual allegations. However, when she complained about racism in the workforce at NBC, he didn't support her and said, "Oh well, I'm happy here." So it's one of those situations where it's like, well, you know, people see it in plain view. Black men just not supporting black women who, these are not like the Cardi B's. These are not like the problematic black women. These are black women who have been largely, professional with themselves. But we see black men, caping for non-black women or environments where people know it's racism. NBC, Richard Pryor back in the 70s, and even Dave Chappelle made a joke about NBC. Said NBC really means nigga be careful. So, if they're making these kind of jokes back in the 70s and 80s about the racial climate at NBC, obviously what Gabrielle Union said back in 2019 isn't too far off the mark, you know. So that kind of disloyalty in public has kind of caused like a paradigm shift, because how can you tell a bunch of non-black people Black Lives Matter and you have such such race disloyalty and such, you're pumping up people who are literally tearing up the fabric of your culture and give little value to it. Because when you prize a white woman who over a black woman, that's not helping your culture. So it creates a lot of scratched heads. And so that's, I mean, the more and more, like I said, the more and more this grows. And Brent, I would love to hear your take on this, because that has happened over and over again. You keep seeing these over and over again over the last 10 years. It's just been a barrage of these incidents where you want to help black men, but when you see them do these things that are so against what's actually beneficial for the community, or so disheartening to the people that actually give back and give so much to their community, it's just like, well, what's going on? You know, it's like, hey, I want to help your community, but this is some of the stuff that's hurting it, and I can't. And this is where that morals and ethics come in. Like, I can't go here with you with this because, hey, this is just not happening.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The optics ain't real good when you look at in the media or social media. I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, uh,
It's like the main people that are in black men's corner, which is black women, are the main ones they beat up, and I don't understand it either.
I yeah, I don't know. I don't know. To me, black women got so much to offer. Why would you attack them? I don't. I mean, I don't understand. Why would you? I mean, I don't date Becky or Karen, but I'm not talking about them. I mean, not like that. I'm not going in on them hard where I'm trying to. I mean, I might make fun of one that acts silly on the internet, but I don't know. It just seems weird. You know, I don't understand it. I just see what I see, but I mean, what about the black men like Russell Wilson or Denzel Washington?
They're simps. They're simps to them. Simps.
Why are they simps? I mean, they're taking care of their families. I mean,
Yeah, that's not a simp to me either, but to them it's a simp.
oh,
And
man.
I think a lot of reasons why black men do that to black women, I think because they try to justify they feel they need to justify their attraction to white women, and so they'll beat up on us and say, well, this is why I go with white women because black women have too much baby mama drama and all of those things. I think it's used as a simple justification and a rationalization that's really it's really false. But they don't understand that if you like a white woman, then that's fine. But you don't have to bash us at the same time and use us as a justification on why you want to just date white women. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, just say that's what you like and tell the qualities. I saw a thing on Cynthia G. And I don't know where she gets her videos, but so she had these white women on there that prefer black men, and I was watching it, and it was funny. One of them says, I don't want a piece of raw meat, and started going in on white guys, and I was just like, wow. And then, she was taught. She had like she had cornrows in, and she was speaking in that
Black
stereotypical slang,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. It seemed funny, but it seemed embarrassing. I'm like, oh, don't. I mean, that's who you like. That's cool. That's who you want to be with. That's great. But it just seemed like, I don't know. And to me, that's always, I never really understood that, how people, I love black people and I love being around them. My wife's black, but I'm not trying to be one. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to act like one. I mean,
That makes perfect sense. You just don't have
I mean, I am who I am, and I didn't change because of who I married. And, in that instance, too, I don't feel I need to attack white women. Why? I mean, I'm too much in love with my wife to just go in on them all day. I don't know. I never understood that. But maybe it's a culture thing. They feel they have to justify why they're in love with their Becky. Why? You know what I mean? Maybe it's, to me, I don't feel the need.
It's just immature.
What I'm doing.
It's just immaturity at this point. I mean, you can talk about it, but I mean, I saw that video about Cynthia G, and I saw her black scent and everything. That was just trash. That was just trash. I mean, first of all, she reduced the black man to a piece of meat. Okay, she reduced him to a piece of meat.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now, yeah, you're right, because that black guy came on and says, "Well, wait a minute, You're talking about our lips and barbecues and all that stuff. What about the inside person? I was like, I agree with that guy. He's right. What about the quality you like? That seemed like a lustful sexual desire.
Yep.
She
I'm
reduced
sorry.
to the same sexual stereotypes in which they got hunted for, and she didn't care because she had a follow-up video in which she claims that people was hunting on her and this, that, and the other. But I mean, it like I just said, it's about the certain class of people. Let's just be real. She was no Anne Hathaway. Let's just be real. She was no
Well,
Anne.
yeah,
That's
but you know,
that's true.
I'm
I
just keep
mean,
it. She was no Anne Hathaway. She wasn't even like the hairspray type of white folk. Okay, she wasn't even the hairspray type of white folk. She wasn't even type. I don't know. I mean, she about a cough away from. I'm not even saying that because the Beverly Hillbillies had some class about them because class is a state of being, and she even had that being. So she just, I don't know what's going on over there. So it's the trashy social media attitude where I'm a brag about stuff that doesn't matter, and it's just disgusting. But you know what? If you look under the comments under her Instagram, I mean under her TikTok, she had black men who were still justifying her, saying, I don't care. I don't care. She's still beautiful. And I was like, and I'll be honest, she was a good 6. She ain't beautiful.
it's sick. Maybe
You know what? Bootsy said something like that. That rapper Bootsy,
Wait,
he
what
said
you
something how the black man that get with a white woman got Miss Piggy, but the white dude got a black woman that looked fan this person you've seen in 3 years because they're getting any white woman instead of vetting like what Brent says.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't. What you was
I
gonna say, Brent?
no, I got an opinion on that, and maybe I'm wrong,
Say it.
but I think sometimes, and I've seen average-looking white guys with a beautiful black woman. I've seen it, and what I think, the reason I think that is I think that the guy actually, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe he showed her love, maybe he, just done so many nice things for her that she's like, you know what? I love this guy, even though he wasn't, the Brad Pitt guy. Maybe she just loves. Maybe she found something inside him. She loves him, and maybe that's why he's an average guy and she's a knockout. I mean,
Well, I can kind of shed some light on that. My husband, I guess, if anybody looked at him, would say he's average looking, but to me, he's not. But it has nothing to do with anything external because that hasn't
yeah,
changed. And what it has to do is him having my back when I needed him. You know what I'm saying? And that makes all the difference. It's not just about physicality, and that's where people getting mixed up at. And that's why to somebody on the outside looking in, oh, he average looking, how the hell he get her? But he's nice to me, he's decent to me, and he's there when I need him, and so that makes him beautiful to me.
yeah.
it,
No,
it's like what yeah, it's like what Prince said in his song, the most beautiful girl in the world. It's what's inside. That's the kind of beauty that shines, not just the artificial is just that artificial.
yeah, and yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, outside looking in, but like you said, he probably treated her good, and she probably loves how she treats her, and then and I think too with us white men and black women, when we get together, I think our relationships last longer than the black man and white woman because we're ridiculed more. And and I've heard black guys say, no, we got it worse than you do, and society accepts it more than you. But I disagree. Back in the day, yes. I mean, they were killed for interracially having relationships. But I think today it's more criticized when it's white men and black women. And I think that's why the relationships work because it's like we're vetted before we even meet each other. we already know what we're going to be up against when it comes to society. So when we do get together, we really want to be with each other, and we're at the point we're tired. We don't care what society says. I mean, when I married my wife, I didn't care what people thought. I just wanted to be with her, and she felt the same way about me. And we didn't care about the cultural differences and things and all this. We kind of created our own culture, we do our own thing. And my brother was like, he told me, he says, you and your wife, you got an awesome relationship. He says, with your families coming together, he says, it's like you guys just created your own culture and you do your own thing. It's not like you're following a certain group.
And that's the way. That's swirling done right. That's swirling done right. That's the same thing what me and my husband do. We don't worry about everybody else. We already know what's gonna come, what's gonna be coming. Just like you and your wife Sandy knew it was coming. So you're already mentally prepared. So we got the leg up already. So it's almost because of the outside ridiculing us. It almost makes it easier for the vetting process to actually be thorough.
Yeah, and you know what? When you see that person you're married to stand up for you and put you first, you know how that makes you feel? You know how much that makes you feel loved? And I'm just talking about living your everyday life, dealing with people giving you crap, and still coming home to you and say, you know what? I love this person. And I think that's what brings us closer together too, seeing each other fight for each other. Like I'm saying, outside influence trying to come in and destroy what you got, but you're able to push it away. You're able to put the person you're married to first above everything. And that's what I always said. In marriage, the most important person in your marriage is your wife. Or if you're a woman, it's your husband. It's not your mom and dad. It's not your cousins. It's not even your kids. It's the one you're married to. That's the most important person. And people tell me, they say, gosh, well, you talk like your wife walks on water. Well, I do. I put my wife on a huge pedestal. But if you've seen what she's done for me through my life, she deserves that. In fact, I can't even build one big enough for her. But that's because she put me first. And and it's that's what marriage is, putting that person above yourself. And when you got two people doing it, your marriage is going to work. There ain't nothing going to break it apart.
And when you have the confidence that that person is going to keep your faith when it's gone, and when you're falling and you feel like you can't go another inch, and they right there to hold out the hand, you can look over your shoulder and they're there. If you know somebody is going to do that for you, then nobody in the world can tell you different. There's no obstacles that's racially gonna hurt you too, because you're gonna get through it. You're not gonna listen to anybody else because you're not going to need to listen to anybody else. You're not gonna have any insecurities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's totally right. I mean, and like and when you talk about securities, when I was in the Army and I spent 20 years and my wife was with me the whole time, and I was gone a lot. And I went to Iraq 3 times, and the uncertainty with that. And my wife was, she was always there for me. And she never complained about living that life. And maybe because her dad was retired Army, and, she dealt with her dad during the Vietnam back in the day. Well, she didn't really, she was so young, but he was gone a lot when she was growing up. And maybe that's why it worked. She understood it, but just the fact that she was always there, I always had confidence. I could do my mission and not have to worry about what's going on at home, where other men struggle with problems. And, that's a blessing I have. So I can't, I know what I got. I know I got a good wife. My wife is the best wife in the world, and nobody's going to tell me different. And I got there's a track record to prove that, But you know what? That's a strong marriage when, it don't matter if I'm gone or my wife's gone, that's still my wife. We're still married. We still conduct ourselves as married people. We get, regardless of how long you're gone, how lonely you are, and all that stuff. Married, you're married to that person. That's a commitment between you, your spouse, and God. And I don't know. I'm just blessed. But I see the qualities my wife has in other Black women, and that's why I say nice things about Black women because I've seen nice things. I've seen good qualities they have, and that's why I've always been attracted to them. Not just how they look, but just being around them. You know. But that's not to say other women don't have those qualities either. I've just seen it more in Black women. And maybe I'm just biased and that's what I've been mostly around. But, anyway, marriage, you got to have 100% for each other. And it's not your race, it's your character. And,
now, I do have a question, Brent. I've been
yes.
meaning to ask you this. Now, okay, since you are an older man, I do want to, and you've seen a generational change. Have you seen a generational change within Black women of today? Like, do you see us, like, some of the stuff, like, that you like about Black women? Do you see us retreat? Do you see some of those traits going away, or are they still there with younger Black women?
That's a good question.
Well, I'm not really around a lot of younger Black women. I mean, what do you mean by younger? I mean, because me and my wife in our 50s, and usually the people we're around are our same age. I do work with some younger women, but they seem to be pretty well-rounded from what I've seen. I haven't. I've seen good quality in younger women that I've seen. I don't hang around them a lot. Well, I don't hang around women that, without my wife being there anyway. But
Gotcha.
The ones I work with, though, I mean, they seem like pretty decent women.
Or even just Black culture in general.
Yeah, do you see a decline in our morals and values, or do you think we're better than what we were before, or about the same?
Well, I'm going to say this. I think society, our morals are going downwards in all races. But Black women, I think they lead the way when it comes to traditional values, both young and old. Now, if, I think, I don't know, that's a hard question because I don't really have that type of access to younger women like that. I mean,
or even like kids are,
but
young
what I see,
your kids' age.
I mean, what I see looking outside in, I see good stuff. I mean, I think Black women are the most spiritual and the most traditional of all women. I believe that, both young and old. But age, I can't really compare it. Because like I said, I'm not around younger women like that. I mean, the women that I've dated and had relationships with before my wife were around my age, my generation. And, I'm a Gen Xer. So, I mean, the millennials, I don't know. I mean, I'm being honest. I can't really answer that. Outside looking in, I think they're the best still.
Thank you. Now,
I say thank you too.
now, how do you feel about the flack that Bill Maher used to get? Because he was famous for always dating Black women, but they ridiculed him about it.
I haven't really followed him. I know he's dated Black women exclusively. I knew that. I think the only ridicule I seen, and it was like he said something that he used the N word. You remember that? That created controversy, and he said the N word, house N word,
Yeah, I
something,
remember.
and that created issues. And I don't know why he would say that. To me, that was just
Yeah.
that was so disrespectful. And your preference is black women. To me, if that's your preference, wouldn't you hold them to a higher? I don't know. I just that word. I seen white people get comfortable with it because maybe they're dating black women and think they got like a pass. To me, that's just
In,
I would never say that.
in
And the
my
closest thing I'm going to get to it is the letter N and word. You know what I'm talking about, and that's just out of respect. But that's the only controversy that I've seen. But I don't follow Bill Maher. I mean, I don't know.
I know
I'm
what
sure.
you're talking about. Bill Maher did say that, but the next show that Bill Maher had was he had some black people on his show and telling him the reasoning why he shouldn't say that and just basically spelling out for him. And he was doing, PR cover for that kind of and say, oh shit, I shouldn't have did that. Let me try to, cover my tracks up. But I did see it live because I used to watch Bill Maher and he didn't mean it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he wasn't let off the hook by any means, but the context of it means a lot.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
non-story because first
Yeah,
and
me
foremost,
too.
it was a non-story, and I will be honest with you, the black community only sniped at him. Actually, it was the hip hop community. They only sniped at him because he does date black women. Who some of them, and I'm gonna be real, okay? Some of the women I have seen Bill scroll up with are finer than some of them rappers who were on his show's wives. And I'm just being blunt. Okay, he is the only man I've ever seen to find a stripper who literally had a PhD in physics, and she was beautiful. And she was
Well,
beautiful. She was beautiful. I don't know how she was
yeah,
beautiful.
there's a lot of strippers that are actually smart. You'd be surprised.
But
Yeah.
anyway, not a PhD with physics.
Well,
Smart.
yeah, that's going a bit much, but yeah, but you be surprised though. A lot of those strippers just be strippers because they trying to go to school and pay rent and stuff.
I know,
They,
but
you know what I mean?
PhD in physics. That's what I'm talking about. He's found the needle of the haystack of the needle of the haystack. But anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a non-issue. He was I mean, he again, it was a self-referential joke at himself when somebody made a joke about him going into the field. He said, "I'm a
Oh,
house nigga. I don't do that." And you know what? I don't think that was. I don't think it was. I don't think it was a problem. You asked me that, I would have made that joke. That was such
yeah.
a non-issue. But hey,
Yeah, it was the context. It's because of who said it, like what you said. It's because of who said it, and he's not. Bill Maher wasn't really the target. It was the black woman he was with that was the target. They tried to make her look bad because, like, you see, this white dude, you letting him say nigga and all that. What's up with that? What's up with that? You know what I mean? They didn't worry about him. It was her that they really wanted to go after. And that's what they do when you were talking about how they bait white men into that. They don't care about the white man per se. They want to shame that black woman so they break up and she never swirl again. That's their goal.
Yeah, I think you're right, but you know what? That's a lost cause, though. These people going out saying swirling done wrong or the reason why you don't swirl and this and that. They're fighting a losing fight because you're not going to stop it. Men and women are going to be attracted to each other no matter what race they are, and it's happening more. You can't. I mean, you might stop a couple from doing it because you make them feel some kind of way. I don't know, or insecure about it. But I mean, people are going to go with who they want to go with. I mean, we all have a free will. And you can teach your kids whatever, but you know what? They're going to do what they want to do. Um, and I've seen it in families where they weren't, where there was actually a real racial content to them, to where they didn't believe in racial relationships, period. But the kids did it anyway, and that's going to happen. Me, I was, lucky. My parents never told me it was wrong. They never told me I couldn't do it. They were more concerned about me having somebody that loved me and I was happy. That's all they cared about. But that ain't everybody's story either. But you're not going to stop it.
No.
My thing is the best thing you could do is just pray for them and hope that their marriage works, and that's for everybody. Let them be happy. Be happy for them. I mean, I don't understand that. Why do you want to tear somebody down because you don't agree with? I don't know.
Because it's easier to do. That's why it's easier to do.
Yeah,
And like I said before, Brent, love is hard to come by. It's
it
um
is.
it's the best things in life are free, but they're the hardest to come by and the hardest to hang on to. So when a black man sees a white man and a black woman and they actually are generally happy, they don't want to see all that. They want to tear it down because hey, I'm not happy, so I don't want you to be happy. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and the ones that found love, they're not worried about you.
I mean, it's so sad, but I mean, there'll be black men who are actually in interracial relationships. They'll still be, taking swipes at you. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, that I've seen that, but that's weird. It reminds me of that comedian Godfrey when he went off on that advertisement sign with the white man and black woman, and he
hmm
was saying, "Well, we started that." I just found that weird. I don't know how he feels about interracial dating. Well, I guess he said he's you know we'll
He
see.
didn't start nothing. Who the hell said that again?
That comedian Godfrey, he was going on a tangent, and he says, "What's this? This white guy and this and black woman? I mean, is this going to fix anything? Heck, we started that, meaning black men started that with white women.
They didn't start absolutely nothing. And why? And he's talking about is that going to fix it? Is you being with a white woman going to fix anything? I don't think so, bro. So what are you talking about?
I don't know. I just found that funny.
I mean, they drug him from the field because first of all,
Yeah,
he's a first generation immigrant, so he's calling people bitwinches, in which that's our Black American culture. Like, don't use that. Don't use that. Nigerians sold slaves. How are you calling us bedwenches to a culture that you sold us into that allowed us to become, sex slaves? That's where that bedwitch comes from. So it's a multifaceted. He was just a hot mess on multiple levels. I paid him no mind. And why are you taking joy from that? Like, we how can you claim to take joy from the fact that you're so happy of the fact that you started a trend in which of interracial dating, but you're not happy of the fact that you're not benefiting from it. And that's the problem with, and I still don't understand why black men just don't give up the horse. I'm like, look, you will never be able to profit from sleeping with the white man's daughters as a come up. That's just not how it works. You are not a female. The Cinderella story works for other men, not
yeah,
not men.
And
you
I
know
think that's what they get mad at because they're not really elevated socially like they're with a white woman, but they feel that black women are elevated socially with a white man, and that pisses them off. And it's a big, huge jealousy thing. Like, I can't give that black woman this, but that white man can.
but here's the thing, though. I mean, here's the thing: if a black man walking in with his own black wife with his own money sends volumes more than you walking in with a white woman with money ever could. I mean, and I hate to say this, especially because let's just be real: these black men never are able to get the Anne Hathaway type of white women. I'm just being very, very blunt. I'm being very blunt. They're not. And that Heidi Klum was just a fluke, and even that didn't really even last. And even if it did, and I'm not wishing hatred on anybody, I'm just saying it's not it still didn't even bring success to who. Still, that man still hasn't become famous. That didn't do anything for his career. Who's he?
I ain't heard from Seal in so long.
For who?
Seal. He came up with that move. He came up with that song "Kiss from the Rose" in 1995. I ain't heard none from him since.
Yeah, I haven't heard him either for a while.
Are you about to wrap up, Brent, or you got?
Yeah, we've been on 2 hours and 14, almost 15 minutes. It'll be 15. You sure you don't want to go 8 hours? No.
I think we stayed on the subject pretty good though this time.
Huh?
I think we stayed on the subject pretty good this time. I didn't venture off too bad, did I?
No, you guys are wonderful. I think it went good. It was, yeah, I just think, and like I said, I could have done better last night, and I should have. It is what it is. But it's a learning thing. Next time I'll be on it and be like, wait a minute, let's stop. But yeah, and yeah, tonight was awesome. But I'm not getting on any of you ladies. That was totally me. I let it go there, and I let it get out of control. And you know what? It's on me. But yeah, but I like doing these lives, these jump on lives. I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy getting your aspect on things, your perspective, and I love people that come in the comments and stuff. And I just love being around people that are like me, in an interracial marriage or relationship. And, I like connecting with people like that. And, not everybody that's on that subscribes to me is in an interracial relationship, but we don't have to be, but we're all connected to it in some way. We got family members that are married into interracially, someone does somewhere. So, I mean, it's kind of like our little community, and I'm loving it. It's nice. But anyway, ladies, I just want to say thanks for coming on. I appreciate having you on. Um, both of you are highly intelligent women, and I'm learning a lot just listening to you and stuff. And I just appreciate you coming on. And just by listening to you guys talk, I can tell you're high quality women, and very
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you. That's a nice compliment. I needed that boost, player. Thank you.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. I'm doing botany homework. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, good night, everybody. God bless. Stay safe. Enjoy your time in church tomorrow, and I'm gonna dip out. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. All right, I say the same thing to everybody, including Becca, even though she just already left. But I see you tomorrow, Brent. And if somebody else comes on, like 2 or 3 people, then I'll probably try to just listen and comment. But I got a big mouth, so I can't promise you anything.
Okay, well, you're welcome anyway. I enjoy having you on. Yeah, you're welcome anytime. And yeah, we'll do it. I'm gonna try to do it at noonish tomorrow. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do an early show instead of a late one because I gotta go to work Monday. But and most people do too. So we'll try to do it early. But good night.
All right, good night, Brent. And don't worry. I'm sorry. What did you say?
No, I was just saying, Becca, good night too.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good night, homie, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
Okay, Amy, have a good night. God bless. All right. All right, that concludes our live tonight. Thanks for coming in and watching. Thanks for the comments, everyone. And Coriel and April, we're going to be praying for you. Got these cyber crushes going on, but Good night, everybody. And ladies, for coming on, thank you. Appreciated it. Um, everybody that came on, thank you. For your comments. Thank you for subscribing. And God bless you and your family. And have a good night. And I'll see you tomorrow on tomorrow's live.